Hi all. I saw a fascinating game highlighted by John Saunders on the ChessBase site recently, and I just want to show you with this video. It was a game of Michael Hennigan's versus Roland Berschinch. So they're roughly the same rating. Michael Hennigan 2385 IM, I think Berschinch's an IM as well, 2424. Anyway, there's an amazing, it seems to be a new tactical concept. I can't call it decoying. I don't want to call it deflection. I think if there's a term for it, I would call it mass distraction. So of the opponent's resources, maybe distraction, mass distraction. So here, okay, there's some uncomfortable issues for White's king. The bishop's currently locked in for this pawn, but on the other side of the coin, maybe that pawn can be victimized soon. With things like knight e1, if Black's not careful, and queen d1. Maybe the bishop can come out later. But we have the scene set for mass distraction here of these resources. So let's have a look at these resources. So how would you distract them? Well, let's flip the board, actually. You want to distract all these resources, and you want to sort of get an attack based on this pawn. So how do you distract the resources? Well, there's an ingenious idea here that Black played, which seems to be totally beyond engine horizon of normal calculation, and it just seems absolutely ludicrous, this concept. So I'll show you what happened. Black played knight takes b4, and it looks as though, well, he's setting up this skewer for the knights. So knight takes b4, and he skewers the knights, and it looks as though, well, this is a broken tactic, because the knights can be, protected. White's not losing a knight. But how does White avoid losing a knight here? So if knight b3, just queen takes b4, knight takes b7 is not particularly desirable. Bishop takes b7. There's a choice of knights to take there, or queen takes b4. So the logical thing is to play queen a7. And here we have the first signs of mass distraction, because the queen has now, which is a very important resource, been distracted away from the king side. And Black continues the distraction. So it's not just one piece, it's two now. Because of this skewer, the pain of trying to deal with it, after b6, White has to protect this knight as well as move this knight. So he ends up playing knight c a6. And White's forces, you have 3, 6, 10, 16 points worth of resources in theory, and 2 of which are just aimed at c7. But look at White's king, it's still only got bishop and rook. So if there's any sort of example of this concept of mass distraction, I think this game has the seeds of it. So Black here played now bishop h3, trying to drive as well the rook away. Now what if the rook didn't go away? Say Black played queen takes c7. Well, here Black has queen e2, still with a dangerous attack. But in the game, the rook is moved to b1 as well. So that's kind of distracted. Now look at all these resources. And this is all for the cost of a knight. Now Black sets up a direct and concrete threat based on this bishop on the light squares. He plays rook e8. And so this back row mating threat is set up. So queen e1 is now a threat. So White defends that e1 square by playing knight c2. So he's guarding e1 now. And now another concrete tactical threat. Look at these resources, by the way, how they've been distracted. So queen e2, so threatening the concrete queen takes c2. If the knight takes d4, again we've got queen e1. So another resource is turned back, but is it too late? So this one's protecting the other knight. And maybe, there's a tactical trick why c5 won't work here. c5, or maybe there's something stronger. In fact, there is something stronger, and it happened in the game. So not c5. Black's not interested in trying to win material so much as go for the king here. So what he played now is a highly ingenious move, setting up, believe it or not, a queen sacrifice. And you may wonder why. What on earth has h5 got to do with anything? Well, it does add support for a future bishop g4. So 2 of these resources have been rolled back, and now the 3rd major resource is rolled back. So we've had seemingly the effects of mass distraction that a lot of time has been put for these resources to attack c7 and then all roll back, but white is a piece up. Unfortunately, in this position there's now mate in 4. I wonder if you can spot it. That there is a visual clue for the first move. I'll give you 5 seconds starting from now. Okay, queen takes f2 check. King takes. Rook e2 check. And now, wherever the king goes, if it goes to g1, there's f2, and that's mate, because the bishop's controlling the light squares. So the king takes. And now we see the point of the h5 area for bishop g4 check. The king's being sucked up the board. King f4, and now the final mate, bishop h6 mate. And isn't that just absolutely remarkable from that start position? This move after bishop h1, just to play this move knight takes b4. It's not a deflection, it's not a decoy, it's not a distraction of a single piece, it's a distraction of like multiple pieces which have to get rolled back because of this horrible painful skewer, which simultaneously not only sets up that skewer but also infiltration possibilities on e2 and also potential mate threats on e1 if white's not careful. So the queen gets sucked in, the knight gets sucked in, the rook gets moved slightly, and now we see the concrete threats one after the other. So threatening that, so that has to be rolled back. So attacking the knight, so that gets rolled back. And now we see this h5. So the queen is just helpless to defend the king here. So this is a case, I would say, of mass distraction. I don't know if that tactic has ever been labelled before, but what an amazing idea and concept to have come up with. Please leave any comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.